Happy New Year and welcome to This Week in East Brunswick. Today we'll catch up on some celebrations that took place over the holidays, like the Senior Center's annual holiday party. Also a look at a Kwanza celebration. Town historian Richard Walling searched the records for strange happenings in town and spoke about them in his presentation called Weird East Brunswick. We'll have a review of Monday's town council meeting and more, so stay with us.
Out of work and underemployed Central Jersey adults are getting a chance to re-enter the workforce thanks to a program offered by a Somerset organization. Hi, I'm Diane De Oliveira, and with me today from First Baptist Community Development Corporation is Dee Cunningham. Thanks for being with me, Dee. Now, you are the program director for Strive. Now, tell people what Strive is.
Strive, the acronym, stands for Support and Training Results in Valuable Employees. And the program is one that focuses on training individuals, as you said, to re-enter the workplace.
Now, this is based on a national program?
Absolutely. The program began about 20 years ago in Harlem, and it was structured and initiated to address the massive unemployment, finding that issues of drugs and other issues that existed in the area a lot of times stemmed from one particular thing, and that was a lack of employment and stable financial stability in the home.
So how does Strive work?
Strive is a 4-week intensive training program. And 4 weeks is not a long time, but what we do is we bring individuals into the program and we simulate the actual work environment. So we have the same kind of rules as far as punctuality. There are consequences. It pretty much focuses on individuals accepting responsibility, taking charge of their own lives. It takes people, and we partner with them to put them in control. Sometimes individuals feel like they've not been in control because they don't have a job. So we want to put them in a position where they partner with us. You are in control, so you make decisions that will impact your ability to have gainful employment.
Now, for a student who goes through the Strive program, say if they are late or maybe they didn't do a homework assignment or something that was asked of them, what are the consequences then?
Well, the consequences can vary, but there are always consequences. Sometimes it's just a matter of addressing the issue. Sometimes we bring it before the class and we say, what kind of retribution or what kind of things do you think should happen to this individual now that we've set rules and they have not followed the rules? You'll find often that people are a lot more hard on themselves, or a lot harder on themselves than we would be. So they pretty much come up with the solutions themselves. And there are times, though, that an individual may be asked to sit out of an example or an exercise. They may be asked to write an essay addressing the behaviors that were not productive. So there are various things that we do, but all of them are designed to help individuals reflect on what is appropriate behavior and to begin making good choices.
Now, what other job skills do you teach?
We teach interviewing techniques. That's the main one. A lot of times individuals that have not worked, or even when they've been on jobs for an extensive period of time, are a little out of practice. It can be an intimidating thing. So we focus very heavily on interview skills and interview techniques, how to prepare yourselves for the interview, what employers look for, what are good work habits. We focus on basic computer skills, though we're not a computer training center. We do have basic computer skills. We focus on things such as time management, teamwork, conflict resolution, and again, it's a very intensive 4-week program, so there's a lot of activity. It's very fast-paced, and as I said, the program is very interactive.
How often do you offer the 4-week program?
It is once a month. It is a 4-week cycle, and we do 12 cycles in a year.
And when the people who enroll in this, once they graduate, they actually get a diploma and that type of thing?
Absolutely. The graduation is a big piece of it. A lot of individuals, not all, but quite a few of them, this is the first thing that they've actually completed, that they've started, and it's been a successful completion. And so we invite the families, we invite the employees, everyone comes, and we really support them in starting this process and finishing it, because we know that this is a next step to successful employment in their lives.
How many individuals can you enroll in each Strive course, each program?
Each course we have the capacity to train about 30 individuals, and that's our target. And so again, it's very interactive. There's a lot of instruction, of course, from the instructors. We have volunteers from the community that are experts in various fields that do teach on different subjects. But essentially, we can accommodate 30 to 35 individuals per cycle.
So who's eligible to enroll then?
Anyone that is above the age of 18 is eligible to enroll. Now what we do is we do an intake process, so we speak to individuals to find out if there are any barriers, I would say, that would preclude them from coming into the program and successfully completing them. We find often that if someone comes in and they have a medical condition that may prevent them from starting right now, we may defer them. We don't eliminate them and we don't send them away, but however, we may identify that there's a better time for them to do it.
What is Strive's success rate, and do you place individuals in jobs then, and what kinds of jobs are they?
Actually, we all kinds of jobs. Our success rate is pretty, it's something that we're very proud of. Overall, as a nationwide organization, the success rate is about 75%.
That's great.
Here in this area, ours has been about 60%, and that's primarily because of the job market, but we often tell individuals it's wonderful to be a part of the program. Don't be negative about the job market, because here you have resources. So it's not just you looking, but you have us looking, you're looking, your teammates are looking, so you find that it expands and broadens your opportunities, and we find that people are very successful in getting jobs that way.
Dee, for people who want more information about Strive or First Baptist Community Development Corporation, what can they do? Do you have a phone number and website?
Absolutely. They can contact us at any time. There is usually someone there to answer the phones, or we may have them leave their information on a voicemail. The phone number is 732-247-0444, and that is our phone number, and our website is www.fbcdc.com.
Dee, thank you very much for making a difference. I'm Diane de Oliveira.
Richard Walling is an historian specializing in the history of East Brunswick Township. He recently gave a talk at the library called Weird East Brunswick. It was advertised as true tales of infamous murders, ghost stories, rum runners, moonshiners, gypsies, and the great oil boom of 1928. Here, Walling tells the tale of a multiple murder on Hardenberg Lane on the night before Thanksgiving, 1915.
In the late afternoon of the Saturday right after Thanksgiving, when the sun goes down, he goes in and he trips over a body. It's the body of David Kigner. 28-year-old David Kigner was shot 3 times, twice in the head and once in the chest. He looks in the beds. In the bed of one was one of the workers of the farm. The man was in a kneeling position on the bed with the bedclothes over, the blankets over, shot in the back of the head. In the other bed was a second farm worker. That farm worker was named Joseph Petruka, and Mr. Petruka had a pistol, an Iris Johnson 5-shot pistol in his right hand. He had powder burns marked to his forehead, and he was dead, and the bed covers had been pulled up to his chin. They then conducted a search of the house. In the bedroom of Mr. and Mrs. Weitzman, Sarah and Samuel Weitzman, both were found dead in the bed, apparently having been shot while they were asleep. In the bedroom of the Kigners, they found Mrs. Kigner with a bullet wound in the head and a bullet wound in the chest. Mrs. Weitzman, I might add, had a bullet wound, one over each eye, and the blood had drained and pooled and had covered her eyes, and several days had gone by since the murders. So they now had a mystery. Who had wiped out this family? Well, immediately the county prosecutor said it must be the farmhand who had a pistol shot in his head holding the pistol. Must be that man. So they ran down a couple of leads, but they eventually had a coroner's jury in January of 1916. 2 months later, it took 2 months to investigate this crime, and they blamed the Polish worker, Joseph Petruka. Well, there are a couple of problems with that. One of the problems is that Joseph Petruka did not only have one wound, he had 2 wounds. He had a wound not only to the head, he had a stomach wound as well. There was another problem. David Kigner's body. David Kigner's body was originally, Kigner was originally shot in the hallway and dragged into the worker's room. They knew that because of the trail of blood from the hallway to Kigner's body. There had been this trail, and why would somebody who would do a murder-suicide even bother and worry about moving a body from the hallway into a rear bedroom? Another fact, on the floor of the house there were bullet casings. Not only were there 38 caliber bullet casings, there were also 32 caliber bullet casings. Yet, the only gun they found was a .38 caliber gun that was in the hand of Joseph Petrucca. So, you have the facts of why would Petrucca do it, why would the bodies be found the way they were, and another worker, a young woman, a young Hungarian woman who was living in South River, said that Mr. Petrucca was a nice man, he got along well, he was not the kind of man who would do this in any way, shape, or form. Well, the county prosecutor, they ran down a couple of leads without any success, and they blamed Joseph Petrucca. The rabbi of the family asserted publicly and that there was no way that this was the crime of one man. The family members of the Weitzmans said there's no way that Joseph Petrucca did this, and there's no way that this was the crime of one man. And when it went to the coroner's jury in January of 1916, the Kigners took the stand, and they testified, oh, the Kigners and the Weitzmans got along fabulously. The Kigners and the Weitzmans they had the most warmest, loving relationship, and oh, that mortgage that we had on the Weitzman farm, it was paid in full. It was all paid. There was no reason for there to be any bad blood or any issues between the two families. That was in January of 1916. In March of 1916, 2 months later, the Weitzmans were suing the Kigners because the Kigners were now saying the mortgage had never been paid off. So there's something was not quite kosher between the Weitzmans and the Kigners. But as to who the murderers are, we'll never know.
At this week's town council meeting, the council held their own election for a new council president and vice president. Kathy Diem was elected to the council vice president's chair, and David Stahl was elected to the council president's chair.
It's been an honor. It's been 1 year since myself, Council Vice President Diem, and Councilwoman Calvano were sworn in, and it's been a very quick year, I can tell you that. It's been a tremendous honor serving as a councilman in this township. We have a tremendous quality of life. Our citizens are unbelievable. And I've lived here for 24 years, but I've probably learned more about this township in the 1 year that I've served as a councilman. I realized how dedicated our public employees are, how many private citizens volunteer their time, provide knowledge, and enrich our community. On council, in the 1 year since I was sworn in, we have accomplished a lot last year. We passed the necessary legislation for the final design and construction of the new skate park facility. We answered Mayor Neary's call for improving our homeland security by funding a new 10 million gallon water tank on Tice's Lane, which is, if you drive by now, you'll see how much progress has been made on that structure. We appropriated money for the Tice's Lane Route 18 intersection improvements, which when completed will greatly improve traffic flow along both Tice's Lane and Route 18. We passed a capital budget that provided for renovations for Welch Park, which will be completed by the summer of 2004. Provided for the continuation of our road pavement management program and the building of the Riders Lane bike path. We acquired the property in front of the high school, adding more quality open space to that which the township already owns. We passed a resolution urging our state legislature to pass an occupancy room tax on hotels and motels, which they did. We later amended our code to reflect that change, and in 2004, we're expecting hopefully in excess of $100,000 in tax revenues, easing the tax burdens on our residents. We passed a resolution stating that the Golden Triangle, the area near the Sam's Club property, is in need of redevelopment. And I look forward to working on that project this year as we move ahead. We also ensured that the parking utility would be financially secure for years to come, and we bonded for structural improvements at the Nielsen Center. We also authorized the negotiation of the purchase of the Heavenly Farms property, a 147-acre parcel that will have our first reading of a bonding ordinance tonight. So as I said, I think a lot was accomplished last year, and let's get started on 2004.
The council also passed an ordinance requiring a public hearing on January 26th to appropriate the issuance of bonds in the amount of $12 million for the purchase of the Heavenly Farms property. Here, Mayor Neary makes his recommendation to the council.
Heavenly Farms is the largest contiguous, privately owned piece of open space left in our township. When this property is taken out of the hands of the developer, there will be nothing of that size that will ever be developed as new development in our community. The opportunity to end our development at this way is something that I think very few councils have ever seen. I know no council in East Brunswick has ever seen, but I also know that we've had an opportunity here to pretty much end the development of our town. That beautiful piece of property on the corner of Dunham's Corner Road and Cranberry Road will have opportunities for recreational facilities. It'll have an opportunity for incredible environmental conservation because it's such an environmentally sensitive area. It's on aquifer recharge. It's going to reduce sprawl in that whole area, and it's going to be right in the same neighborhood of other recreational facilities like the Little League fields and like the Crystal Springs. The money that it costs to buy this property is not going to go down as time go by. I mean, it was only just last decade, not long ago, when the previous council and the previous administration had an opportunity to buy that property for substantially less than $12 million. And at that time, it was determined that they couldn't afford it. It wasn't worth the price. Well, if we decide today it's not worth the price, it's not going to go down in price. It's going to go up in price, or it's going to be developed. That's what's going to happen to it. You're either going to have houses on it, and roads, and streets, and school kids, and cars, and the whole thing that goes with sprawl, where the township of East Brunswick is going to have control over that piece of property. Having the state agree with us and be able to back up our ideas with a commitment to help pay for it, with the county doing a significant contribution to help pay for it, it reduces the cost even more. I would be happy to come to this council and ask this council to pay all the money for this property, because over the course of 40 years, it's still not going to have an impact on taxes as much as houses would. So I look forward to a bipartisan support from the council to go ahead with something that's truly good for the future of our community. This type of open space purchase is something that long after we're no longer sitting in these chairs, the people who are sitting here will be appreciating what we have done.
The African American Cultural Association of East Brunswick hosted a Kwanza celebration last month at the library. Dr. Arthur Lewin began with honoring ancestors, personal and cultural.
Before we begin anything in the African tradition, we always have to remember the ancestors, right? And those are the people that went before us. So we have to honor them and remember them, because we wouldn't be here without our ancestors, right? So at the present time, we're going to honor the ancestors. And what we do is we pour out a libation and we say the word Ashe after we recognize a particular ancestor, all right? So at the present time, before we begin, as we do everything, we have to remember the ancestors, those great women and men who pioneered and who went before us and who laid the groundwork for us to be here today. I'll start off by remembering my father, Eli Lewin, Ashe. I would like to remember my grandmother, who was called Mum Lewin, Ashe. I would like to remember some other people that have been very important in my life, Dr. Harrison Tucker, Frida Latti, Ashe. Ashe. Anybody else, if anybody want to remember?
Jerome Peoples.
Ashe. Anyone else?
Sophia McLean.
Ashe.
Gary Mayo.
Ashe.
Edna May Scruggs.
Ashe.
Odessa Mason.
Ashe.
Renee Washington.
Ashe. We have W.E.B. Du Bois. Ashe. Malcolm X.
Ashe.
Sojourner Truth.
Ashe.
Harriet Tubman.
Ashe.
Nanny of the Maroons. Ashe. And all these great ancestors who... Althea Gibson. Ashe.
Martin Luther King.
Ashe. You see, the room is filled now, right? Ashe. All these ancestors and all their ancestors going back to the very beginning of time. Let's say Ashe. Okay. Now, you know, what happens is Kwanza is a very unique holiday. And Kwanza was established in 1966 by Dr. Maulana Ron Karenga, and he's a professor from USC in Southern California. And what he said, what he felt was that we needed to have a holiday that was unique to our people in this country. And so what he did was he created a holiday based on the harvest tradition. When the people back in Africa would have the harvest and everything is done, they'd have big celebrations. So he said, what would be a good time for us to have our celebrations? When do we have our harvest? Well, we don't do that much farming. So he said a good time would be that time in between Christmas and New Year's, when we've done all our work with school, we've done all our work on the job, and we tend to be relaxed. And you know what? There's nothing to do during this week. So he said for each day of this period, he's going to use a particular principle, a particular African principle. This is our Canara. And each of the 7 principles is embodied by a particular candle, okay? So let's start now by having a review of our 7 principles of Kwanzaa, and we're going to ask someone from the audience to come up, read off from the sheet, and light their particular candle. This is Baba Gaines, and go ahead and do this.
All right, I'm Portland, Washington. Umoja, unity. Success starts with unity, unity of family, community, nation, and race.
My name is Jade Dillon. Kujijakulia, self-determination, to be responsible for ourselves, to create your own destiny.
My name is Brenda Washington, and Ujima, collective work and responsibility, to build and maintain your community together, to work together to help one another within your community.
My name is Kevin Johnson. Ujima, collective economics, to build, maintain, and support our own stores, establishments, and businesses.
My name is Justin McKinley, and NIA, purpose, to restore African American people to their traditional greatness, to be responsible to those who come before and those who will follow.
Creativity. Using creativity and imagination to make your communities better than what you inherited.
Very good. Great. And finally, last but not least, we have name.
My name is Megan Miles. Imani faith, believing in our people, our families, our educators, our leaders, and the righteousness of African righteousness.
The African American Cultural Association of East Brunswick meets at the library monthly. For more information, please contact AACA 08816@AOL.com. We'll close this week's show with scenes from the Office on Aging's holiday party, held last month at the Farrington Manor. Thanks for watching.
Read the magazine and then you're in Baltimore. Dinner in a diner, nothing could be finer than to have your ham and eggs in Carolina. When you hear the whistle name from the bar, then you know that Tennessee is not very far. So everybody got to keep it rolling, boo-boo, time, there you are. there's one of these. Same party at the station, satin lace. I used to call Bunny Face. And she's gonna cry till I tell her that I'll never roll. Oh, Chattanooga choo-choo, won't you choo-choo me home? You leave the Pennsylvania station about a quarter to 4. Read the magazine and finish in Baltimore. Dinner in a diner, nothing could be finer than to have your ham and eggs and Carolina. When you hear the whistle blow into the bar, then you know that Tennessee is not very far. So the rolling tide, keep it rolling, ooh, Chattanooga, there you are. You made a vow that you would ever be true, but somehow that vow meant nothing to you. Now my lonely heart aches with every wave that breaks over love letters in the sand. I long to hold you near and kiss you just once more, but you were on the ship and I was on the shore. Now I know lonely nights, for all the while my heart is whispering. If it brings you happiness, then I wish you both the best. It's your happiness that matters most of all. And if he ever breaks your heart,